we have to learn to get in touch with our bodies. We have to learn to listen to our bodies. We have to stop mindlessly just following the latest trends
Right.
and pay attention to how the food that we are eating is making us feel. Every opportunity to put food in my mouth is an opportunity to be like the healthiest, happiest, best version of myself.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Mom Does It All. If you're looking for encouragement, empowerment, and uplifting in motherhood and mompreneurship, this is the show for you. I'm your host, Marcia Spurk, triplet mom, certified success coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. In this episode, I talk to business and lifestyle coach and also my health mentor, Calie Calabrese. We talk about how health is so much more than food and exercise, and she shares her health and business journey of over 10 years with lots of tips and wisdom for personal growth and mindset development. I am so grateful for this one. Let's dive in. Hi, Calie. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yes, I am so excited, a little bit nervous. So for those of you who are not familiar with Calie Calabrese, she is a Beachbody coach and a lot more than that. She's a mom and she just really inspires me. And recently I was able to claim her as my mentor and coach for fitness, for mindset, for all of the things. And I'm so excited that she decided to join us here. And for those of you who are not familiar with 80-Day Obsession and with all of the things, I'll just have her introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit more about her, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Well, like you said, I am a single mom to two boys. They're 11 and 13. I moved to LA about 2 years ago to be closer to family and to pursue my holistic health coaching career. I had the opportunity to participate as a cast member in 80-Day Obsession, which my sister, Autumn Calabrese, was actually the creator of through Beachbody. And it was basically a program where we spent 80 days straight filming live workouts, and we followed a very specific nutrition program during that time. And that was actually a pretty life-changing experience for me. I used that 80 days after my divorce and my move across the country with my kids to kind of refocus on myself. I had experienced PTSD and I had been living with a lot of stress for about 1.5 years. And despite being a health coach and eating well and still moving my body and knowing how to take care of myself, the stress had taken a toll and I had gotten down to 99 pounds. And I just wasn't feeling my best or like myself. So in addition to using that time to rebuild my strength and to nourish and heal my body, I went on a journey to also kind of heal my mind. And I did a lot of personal development and mindset work during those 80 days. And it really became just a transformative 3 months in my life and kind of set the stage for me to be where I'm at today and to take my health coaching to just kind of a whole new level.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so amazing. And I love how you say that even though you were eating well, it's not like you were eating crap or that you weren't exercising. Stress was still a factor that was affecting your life, that you had to do certain things to change that. And then the mindset and personal development came in and helped you a lot with that too.
Yeah, I think it's such an important thing for people to understand that being healthy isn't just about two things. It's not just about your diet and how much you exercise or how you exercise.
Totally.
Because it's two pieces of the puzzle. In my mind, there's this wheel of 7 or 8 categories of wellness. And what we want to work to do is to get all of them as close to balanced as possible at one time. Now, they're not all going to always be perfect and things are always going to be fluctuating, but we need to pay attention to all of those categories so that, if we are eating well, if we are exercising, that can really work for our body because we're also sleeping. We also have healthy relationships. We have purpose in our life, and we have community. We have financial stability. All of those things are going to play into how your body responds to exercise and nutrition.
Right. It's several different areas of our life working together. It's not just having it all together in one area. It's kind of working in all of the areas. And one thing that I do, because that came to mind, because I know, knowing your story, that you've been into health for many, many years. It wasn't something that started 2 years ago. And still, you were finding your groove, and now you're at a place where you're in a much better place, I guess I should say. And for some people that maybe didn't really pay attention to any of this, and now they're thinking, wow, so somebody that already was in touch with this still had to come a long way to find, what works for them. Like, what are some of your tips in that sense? Or maybe share what the different things that you have tried until you were like, no, this is what works for me.
Sure. Well, I think the thing to remember, and the thing that I've learned on my journey, which, like you said, it started about 10 years ago. And just to give you like a quick little bit of backstory is, I was a journalism major. I worked in marketing and PR for over 10 years. And the reason I got into health and wellness is actually that both of my boys were preemies. They were really sick little dudes when they were born, and it took a lot of time and energy to care for them. And my body, that stress, the lack of sleep, the worry, and also just the trauma during their deliveries and all the medicines that had to be injected into my body to help them, really took a toll on me. And I got to a place where both of my kids as babies were already on a bunch of medications. We were in doctor's offices every single week.
Wow.
And I got to a place where I was having panic attacks every day. I had developed dozens of food sensitivities. I was afraid to eat if I was home alone with the kids because I didn't know when I might react to something. And I just had so much anxiety. And I got to a place where literally I woke up one day and I was like, I can't continue to live like this. Something has to change. And I ended up meeting this chiropractor, and she was very into nutrition. And I remember after the first time we talked, she said, I'm going to teach you how to eat, and it's going to change your life.
Ooh.
And that's exactly what happened. Within 3 weeks of changing my nutrition, my panic attack stopped. Within 3 months, my kids and I were off all of our medications. And within 3 years, our health was completely and totally transformed. And when you experience something that powerful, at least for me, there was just no way for me to keep it to myself. It was like I was just vomiting, nutrition and health information on that I met all day long, every day. I started a blog. I hosted a women's wellness weekend. Like I was like, I have to get this information into people's hands because people have to know that like food is medicine and it can change your life.
Yeah.
And then I went back to school and studied nutrition and became a holistic health coach. And so over the last 10 years, I've experimented with every nutritional theory, and I've been a bar teacher. I've been certified in yoga. I've done 80-day obsession and weight training. And kind of where I've come to is that there's a thing called bioindividuality, which means that what works for one body doesn't work for everybody. But it also means that at different stages in your life, your body will require different things. So we have to learn to get in touch with our bodies. We have to learn to listen to our bodies. We have to stop mindlessly just following the latest trends.
Right.
And pay attention to how the food that we are eating is making us feel. Are we energized? Does it make us tired? Does it upset our stomach? So that we can learn more intuitively what foods really fuel our bodies and really help us to function and feel our absolute best, because it's also, food has such a powerful impact on your mood. There's a direct connection between the gut and the brain, and it's important to pay attention to that. So
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that your kids were premature, because obviously mine were. How many weeks were they?
I mean, they call them borderline premature now because they were both 36 weeks.
Okay.
So it's not like extreme.
Right. But still, it's definitely a different experience when they come early, and with the lack of sleep and just emotionally too, it just takes its toll, and it's hard for sure. And I didn't know about the bioindividuality. That's amazing. I need to look this up, because it makes so much sense that we need different things in different stages of our lives, depending on what's going on in life. And knowing your body and knowing yourself will help you know what you should be eating instead of just following what somebody else tells you, which might work for a little bit. And that's what we usually run into, right? It works for a little bit and then you just fall off and you don't want to do it anymore. And that's usually because it's not what works for you, and you have to find what works for you, right?
Exactly. Because what works for you encapsulates so many things. It's not even just how it makes you feel, but it's like what's realistic for the amount of time you have to cook, meal prep, and and actually eat. Are you eating breakfast on the go a lot? Those kinds of things. People ask me all the time, one of the most popular questions I get on Instagram is, what do you eat to have your abs?
I want to know too.
It always makes me laugh because for me, it's clean, intuitive eating. But if I tell you exactly what I eat and you follow that, it might not have the same impact for you. Mm-hmm. And so I'd rather teach you how to listen to your body and find out what helps your body process your food the best. What do you need? And a lot of times it's people need to heal their gut. It's not even about what they're eating. It's like if you get a nail in your tire and you take the nail out, but you don't patch up the holes, you still have a flat tire. And this is what I see with people's gut health and nutrition so often. It's like they remove certain food groups, processed foods or sugar or even like gluten or dairy because they figure out that they're sensitive to it, but they don't take the next step to actually heal the damage that's been done to our guts from either eating foods that we're sensitive to or just all the toxins we even take in through our environment, through antibiotics and all that. But then they're like, well, I took gluten out of my diet, but I'm not getting results. Or I stopped eating processed foods and it didn't make any difference. And then they go back to eating the processed foods because it's like, what's the point? And so I really try to help people understand that there is a two-step process to most of us need to do some healing work in our bodies in addition to figuring out what foods fuel us best. And that's how we optimize our results.
Right. And I did want to talk about, because I know you say that your gut is like your second brain and how food affects your mood and everything. And also we mentioned earlier before we started recording about you believing that nothing should be off limits. And it's because, again, just like what you were saying, you have to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. So it's you have to know. Nobody can tell you, cut this off unless they know for sure that it's causing you harm. So can you expand on that?
So when I say for me that nothing should be off limits, it's that I've done a lot of extreme and restrictive nutrition plans and things like that. And like you said, things can work for a time. And maybe sometimes it's even necessary for a period. Like when I went through 10 years ago, my first parlay into nutrition, it was a pretty extreme nutrition plan. But it eased up over the course of 3 months. So it started extreme and then it got things got added back in.
Okay.
But the thing is that nutrition plans like that or diets per se require a lot of willpower, and willpower only lasts for so long. So if you try to stick to something that's solely willpower based, where in your brain, you're saying, I can never have X, Y, and Z again. It's almost like saying that you can never have it again makes you want it so much more, and it makes it even harder to resist it. So I just try to focus on how do I fuel my body every time I put food into it with the foods that are going to make me feel the best. And if I say to myself that nothing is completely off limits, most of the time I'm eating lean, plant-based proteins, some fish and eggs, and all the veggies and a little bit of fruit. I do eat obviously carbohydrates. When I say plant-based, I eat sweet potatoes and stuff like that, squashes, all that. I don't really eat processed foods. I never eat fast food. I don't drink soda. I watch my sugar intake, but I don't ever say that I can't ever have something. So if it's Christmas Day and my brother makes an amazing roast for family dinner, even though I don't really eat red meat, I might have a little bit, because I want my life to be enjoyable. I don't want to feel limited all the time. And I think a lot of people would find they have more success if they just ease up on themselves a little bit. So it's kind of like 90-10 rule is how I look at it. Every opportunity to put food in my mouth is an opportunity to be the healthiest, happiest, best version of myself. And 90% of the time, that's going to involve eating super clean, really healthy, nutrient dense foods. And 10% of the time, it's going to be indulging and just having something fun that I feel like having.
Right. Yeah, it's just having freedom, right? It's not being attached to anything specific. And like you were saying, being intuitive and knowing what works for you. And if it's a family gathering and you feel like eating it, then that's okay. It's not like you're going to be feeling guilty afterwards or whatever.
Right, because I know that 90% of the time I'm fueling my body for like optimal health. So every once in a while, I almost feel like you get better results when you operate at 90-10.
Yeah. Because it's the mindset too, right? You're feeling good about what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. All right. So let's move on to the business side of things, because I do want you to kind of walk us through your journey, because you said you went crazy once you found out that nutrition was so important, and you went back to school, and then you started hosting your things and started a blog. So how did all of that look like until today, until what you're doing now?
Sure. So I've done a lot of things, figuring out, exactly what my business was going to look like. And it's kind of just like nutrition. It's needed to look like different things at different times. So I had a blog for several years, and I worked with a lot of amazing brands during that time. I worked with Vanderbilt Children's Hospital and Applegate and Evie, Seventh Generation, and just kind of working to spread a message of health and wellness. It was really always focused on women from the get-go. That's just kind of where my heart is at. And then I opened a bar studio with my best friend in Tennessee. We ran that for about 5 years. So we taught bar, and I would teach nutrition workshops.
That's awesome.
I educated people on essential oils, all that kind of stuff, just kind of like holistic living. And I dabbled in Beachbody coaching off and on for 5 years. Basically, the entire time my sister has been with Beachbody. Every time we've launched a program, I've promoted it and, run challenge groups for a while. But the thing is, during that time period, I was married, and it was a really hard time in my life. I wasn't super happy. My marriage wasn't super healthy. I never could really figure out what was going on. Like, a lot of work was being done, like counseling and all that kind of stuff. And my confidence just wasn't there.
Right.
Even though I really knew my stuff when it came to nutrition, I lived and breathed it. I didn't believe in my ability to really help and heal other people. And that was a mindset issue that I had, And so it really caused me to struggle in my business, because lack of confidence and lack of joy really was, it makes things a whole lot more challenging. Even just the idea of like reaching out to someone and offering to help if you feel insecure.
Right.
And then when you're struggling, with your happiness and choosing joy and all that, you just have more low times where like it's harder to stay consistent. It's harder to stay motivated.
Definitely.
So when I moved here and I started working on my mindset, and I really learned how to choose joy every day, even during probably the most challenging time of my life, may have also been like the happiest year and a half of my life. Because I made a decision that I was going to be happy while I healed. And I had, my sister actually gave me a Tiffany smile necklace for my birthday right when I moved here. And it was like this constant reminder around my neck that like I had the opportunity to choose every single day the kind of life that I wanted to live, and that it was all going to be based on my mindset. And as I did that, I just started to grow in confidence. And then I started to share my journey through social media. And that really helped me find my voice. And it helped me see the power of vulnerability and authenticity, and see that I really had this amazing chance to help a lot of people find their happiest, healthiest self. And that was always my passion and always my heart. And so even when it felt scary and hard, that's what motivated me. Like, who could I potentially help today just by sharing my story?
Right.
That's what I focused on every day. And so I made a commitment to be as consistent in my business and in sharing my story and in inviting people into the journey with me as I had been in my health journey personally. And so I started it with an 80-day commitment when 80-Day Obsession launched publicly to share every single day and invite people into that program. And when I saw the power in that, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do, you know? Nice. And I was like, what would happen if I just keep showing up every day? So that 80 days turned into a year and a half. And awesome. I, you know, grew my business from no coaches to, you know, I have like 220 people in my coach group right now. I have over 800 customers.
Wow.
And, you know, and I've gone from struggling to my bills and worrying, you know, if I'd be able to fill my gas tank to, you know, just feeling like very financially secure and blessed and stable and being able to take care of my kids without worry and to know that like I'm setting an amazing example for them as well about, you know, I'm there for them because I have flexibility in my schedule. And they see that my job is something that actually brings me a ton of joy and purpose.
Right.
And I just love that they get to see that example.
Yes, it's incredible. Oh, I love that so much. And so I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned having the necklace and that helped you as a reminder, because as you were saying, I had to choose joy and I had to choose happiness. I had to be determined that I was going to be happy. And then having that confidence is what helped you with consistency to be successful in your business. But it didn't just automatically happen. It was a process by you choosing that daily. What are some of your tips, or like maybe one big piece of advice that you can give for somebody that is struggling with that and finding that joy daily, or finding the thing that will work for them if they're trying different things and nothing seems to be it, but finding that confidence to just, this is it, and choose that daily?
I think one of the most powerful things I ever did, and I still do it every single day to this day, is to start and end each day in gratitude. And so it's looked like different things over time. You know, it's been meditation, it's been different personal development books that help me focus on gratitude. But there is a book that you can order on Amazon called the 5-Minute Journal. And it's literally just 3 prompts in the morning and 3 prompts at the end of the day. It takes 5 minutes to fill it out. And it focuses your mind on gratitude. And when you make these lists of things that you're grateful for. And when I started it, I mean, literally some of the things I was writing on my list were like a hot cup of coffee. You know, I remember there being days where it was like, I could come up with 3 things. And now when I fill it out, I'm like writing in my teeniest, tiniest handwriting, and I'm writing paragraphs at a time. Because once you start to learn to focus, what you exercise grows, you know, in all areas of our life. And so when you exercise that gratitude muscle, you start to find more things to be grateful for. And in the middle of the day, when you find yourself just frustrated or stressed or, you know, just at your wit's end with something, and like you can remember and come back to that moment of like, well, what can I find to be grateful for?
Yes.
How can I choose? I always say to myself, how can I choose love over fear in this situation? Which a lot of times is just joy over anger or resentment or frustration, whatever. That practice and just doing it over and over and over again, it just gets easier like anything, and you get better at it, and it will change your life and your mindset if you commit to practicing gratitude every single day.
Right.
There's no way it can't.
It seems so simple that it seems like it's not going to work, but it's just like anything else. You can't just do it one day and expect it to change everything. It just has to be daily.
Time plus consistency equals success. That is my motto for everything in my life. Whether it's my business, practicing gratitude, you know, just learning to eat healthier. You have to do it every single day for a long period of time. And if you haven't had success yet, you just haven't been doing it long enough.
Right.
So keep going.
Oh, I love that. If you haven't had success yet, you haven't been doing it long enough. That's beautiful. I love it. I will coach you.
Okay.
That's amazing. Oh, thank you so much. This was so rich. I learned so much. I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So how can we find you? Obviously, it's not hard, but let us know where you hang out the most.
I hang out the most on Instagram, Coach Calie, Calie. And you can link straight from there to my website, which is coachcalie.com. And those are the two best places to find me and interact. Send me a message. Let me know what your questions are. What are you working on? What are you struggling with?
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Calie. This was great.
You're so welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
I hope you got as much out of this episode as I did. This is why it's so important to have mentors and connect with people you look up to. And this is why I'm so grateful for this show and grateful for you listening to me. Don't forget to connect with Calie and share this episode. Take a screenshot and tag us in your stories. More women need to hear this to be encouraged to get in touch with their bodies and their own health, right? Until next time, bye.